41 for the first. Baldwin in motion. Wilson looking deep. One-handed grab and caught. Kasen Williams.
A conscious athlete knows the effort it takes to make it to the top, but even more so the release, recovery, and space it takes to let their fullest potential shine. We all know of Kasen Williams, the athlete, but for those that tune in this conversation, we'll see someone much greater than his efforts on the football field. Kasen discusses his preparation, meditation, and the mental side of his process. We also have some awesome conversations about dreams, seeking truth, and just learning how to be. This was one of my favorite conversations to date, and I hope you enjoy. Were you a solid hooper, would you say? Like in terms of
Yeah, man, that was first love, most definitely.
Really?
Yeah. I think the reason for that is because I started playing competitively. I like a big competition when I was in the 5th grade with Rotary. You've heard of Rotary
Yeah,
style.
of course.
Yeah, and I was playing.
Who's
I was
on
on
your
the
squad?
team. Tone.
Shit.
I was playing with Tony Roten, Gary Bell, Salim Gloyd, who also went and played somewhere. But yeah, the main people was Gary Bell and Tone. That was the squad.
Oh, yeah.
And because of that, like we were going to Oregon all the time, Cali. We were doing these national trips and national tournaments, and I was starting to get some like, you know, just small recruiting, not recruiting, but like online stuff, like best 6th grader in the Pacific Northwest. Like I was number 3 on the list. So I'm like, oh, I think I'm a hooper now. And then football came about, and that just kind of took over. But basketball was definitely like the first love, first thing I thought I was gonna like go pro in. First thing I said, this is what I want to do.
Really?
You know? But
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Damn.
And then I kind of in high school it was more just playing for fun. I just wanted to play just because I loved the game. But I didn't care as much as I cared like football and track. You know, if we lose in basketball, I wasn't really tripping.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, we're playing as hard as we can every single game and all that. But I wasn't tripping if we took a loss in basketball.
It seemed like you were just trying to get dunks.
Basically, real talk. Basically, I'm just looking for the tip jams. That's pretty much it. That energy from the crowd is crazy, though.
Yeah.
That's why I like basketball, because the fans are like right on top of you.
Yeah.
And like we were saying, if I get a tip dunk, you can feel that energy ASAP.
It's going.
And it's just like it's a big rush that you don't really get anywhere else.
Yeah. Kinko was nice back then too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very good anymore. Besides, like Mount Si is in there now.
Mount Si is cooking everywhere. Football, basketball. When we were in school, they wasn't anything.
Cheek.
Yeah, they was boo boo. But now they're like doing their thing. I guess they felt disrespected all those years. I don't know.
Bro, so that's actually one question I had down here was like being so like hyped as a young kid.
Yeah.
In terms of like, bro, we're reading stuff in 6th grade like,
Yeah.
this kid's good, this kid's this and
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Was that tough to keep maintaining like a love for what you were doing and like the sports that you were playing?
Yeah. I mean, actually, no, it wasn't tough at all. It was extremely easy because I'm an extreme competitor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I see that people are saying things, well, I'm looking for who else are they talking about? You know what I mean? Is someone out there that they think is better than me?
Yeah.
So I can go prove them wrong because I'm looking for that number 1 spot. I expect the buzz to be there. You know what I mean? Because I know what I'm capable of. But I want it to be the number 1 spot. I don't want to be number 2, number 3. So for me, it wasn't about like, oh, everybody's looking at me now. I got to make sure I'm doing things the right way. It's more like, okay, I got to make sure, 1, that the hype is real. And 2, that if there's anyone else that is out here that you think can compete with me, I got to make sure you know that they can't.
Yeah.
You know? So that was my mindset. The competitiveness takes over from the anxiety of being talked about.
Damn, I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So in terms of like, I don't know if social media, you didn't really have that in high school, did you?
Nah, I try to stay away from it.
Oh, just in general?
In general, I don't necessarily. I'm not a fan, but I know it's necessary. Like
For sure.
for branding and
Yeah.
all that stuff. You have the ability to have your own platform. You do what you want with it, which is cool. But like, I don't know. Who I am as a person and what I like to do is not shaped by what people want me to be. So because of that, what I'm doing is outside of the realm of like how an athlete should conduct themselves. So I'm kind of I get in my own head a lot about what I think other people are thinking about the content that I put out, or what I'm saying, or how I want to go about what my brand is and all that stuff. So it just makes me overthink things.
Yeah.
And at the same time, on the other side, looking at other people all the time and thinking about
True.
like what they're doing are they on a higher level than me, or this is what I need to be doing, or all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
there's just a lot that goes into it that I'm not really a fan of.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. That's actually really good awareness, because I think a lot of people just do that unconsciously.
Yeah.
They're seeing all this stuff like, oh, shit, should I be doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Should I be doing this? But one thing that was cool, I wanted to tell you this just straight up, like the spoken word you had on there, like it inspired me to start writing. Like,
really?
Yeah, dude. So I saw
That's
that.
what's up.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I was like, bro, this is dope. Like
Yeah.
in terms of like the rhythmic feel, but also like it's a little bit poetic, and then also like it's a performance. So I started my ritual now.
Yeah.
I actually did it today. Is like I'll just go deep into nature, and I'll just start trying to flow on kind of with that same rhythm in mind.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it, bro. 'Cause
Hey,
like
that's what's up.
You posting that helped me, inspired me. It's given me a cool space. Is
Yeah.
that something that you feel like you've been able to tap into with that?
Yeah. I really like that you told me that, because what that tells me is like you'll never know how people are going to be inspired by what you put out, what you
Yeah.
create. Because like I said, I'm in my head so often about, I hope people take this the right way, or I swear in it. I hope, some parents of the kids that I train don't think it's a problem and stuff like that. But hearing that you were inspired by that, you hear it, and now you have a ritual of trying to flow and get your words out, getting in nature and all that stuff. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm just glad that I was able to like help you see that. And that's ultimately what I want, because I'm writing in the perspective of athletes that had a dream. And this past year with the XFL coming up, I've been in a mind state of not fully making it. So everybody who's played high school sports has a vision of going and playing college or going and playing professionally. But when you're so close to your dream and you haven't got there, it's like a lot of inspiration. Even if you make it to your dream, because playing with the Seahawks, I felt like I was living in my dream there too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of a lot of life experiences that just need to get talked about, that I feel like a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
And once you have that, and you can find a way to put it into words that make people rewind and be like, damn, he just said some real shit.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a dope thing to see.
Yeah, man. No, because I think it's, like you said, especially with what I'm doing with the podcast as well, I try to be conscious of that as too, like in terms of, all right, I'm still working and coaching kids. I don't want to say some things that are, out of line, but then at the same time, it's also a good practice. Like, do I really care what these people think?
Yeah.
Does their opinion of me deter me from my vision and what I believe in?
Yeah.
So it's like a good practice in that sense, because, the words that you were saying on that definitely, they hit home, but they're also very true to you. You know what I mean? So it's like your truth. So I feel like social media could be in a good way. Like if you really put out your truth, it's like a good test. Like, damn, do I really have faith in that?
Yeah.
In some way. But you were hitting on you living your dream or with the Seahawks. And I started thinking back on my career. Like my dream was to play college basketball. But a lot of those moments I feel like fell by the wayside in terms of me trying to control the situation or try to get to that next game and next success and not being able to fully enjoy the moment. Did you ever feel that sense and that urge while you were, you're tapping in the NFL?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, because as I was the thing with me is the fact that I was like, okay, my junior year, I was thinking I was gonna go round 1, round 2. Round 3, whatever. Either way, I felt
in
like
college.
I felt like I was gonna get drafted. I had the injury, and then I became a free agent. And when I became a free agent and got to the Seahawks, I was like, I want to enjoy this moment, but I'm a free agent, and ultimately, when camp was done, I became on the practice squad. So I want to enjoy this moment, but I'm not satisfied where I'm at yet.
True.
You know what I mean? So I felt like there was always something I needed to add to my game.
Yeah.
And something that I needed to be doing to help me get to where I wanted to go. So there wasn't a lot of time to enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I always knew that there was more in store. But looking back on it, you hear people say all the time they enjoy the process. The process is what they love, and that's where the true like fulfillment comes, is in the process. So as in the moment, I wasn't really taking the time to enjoy it. I can look back and say that I enjoyed the whole part. I enjoyed the whole process because there were so many things in that process that I learned about myself, that I added to my game, that added to my spirituality, that just added to me as a human being. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. But in the middle of the grind, in the middle of the journey, there was no enjoying anything. It was, I need to eat. I need to get on a higher level, all that. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like you being on the practice squad with that kind of hunger and that drive to try to make the team or try to make any team in the NFL, there is that level of spiritual engagement that you kind of tapped into. That's like, that's not, you can't see that.
Yeah.
Nobody can see that externally, but you can sense it, because now you can take that on to all these different things. So that might have been a blessing in disguise in a way. And then in terms of flow for you, I mean, obviously, like, you're a pretty conscious individual, and I'm sure you've tapped into that type of experience in a lot of different aspects, not just in football. But in a football sense, it's a little bit different than, I mean, I played football in 7th grade. It's not the level that you played at, but I'm sure it's different than how I would describe it for basketball, in terms of, like, there's a lot more contact, it's a lot more physical. Like, what would be flow for you in that experience, and then how do you tap into it?
Basketball is so free-flowing. Like, the game doesn't stop. You're straight, like, you're just always in motion. You're reacting. You're causing the action. Like, there's all that. But in football, you have, like, 7-second windows of that. You know what I mean? 7 seconds of fast action, quick on your feet, think, ball comes, catch it, like, and then all that happens, and then everything just stops. You know what I mean? And then you jog back to the huddle, you reset, and you do it again. But flow for me is mind completely shut off. Those are when I've had my best games. All my best games, college, pros, high school, my mind has been completely shut off, and I just trust the preparation. I trust the playbook, the calls, all that stuff, and I just catch and react. You know, that's flow for me. And so many times people get so caught up in, like, as a receiver, when you're at practice, the coach says, hear the play, know what you're doing, then get to the line, read the defense before the ball's even snapped. What's your corner doing? What's the safety doing? What's the backer doing? Okay, ball snapped. Now the safety moved over. The corner's off. There's so many things to think about.
Right.
And so it's so hard to hear, like, how do you react during the play, or what's your mindset during the play, knowing that I just explained everything I just explained, and then saying, shut your mind off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's extremely tough. But at the end of the day, if you're trusting the repetition that you had in practice, every practice, you're getting 60 snaps.
Right.
You're getting 50 snaps. So in that time, or in those plays, in those reps, you're practicing reading and reacting with your mind shut off, letting your body just flow, you know? So it's a hard concept to grasp, especially when they're telling you to think of so many things. But yeah, you just it's a process of learning how to shut your mind off, and that's what I practice every day. Every day I practice. Every time I get an opportunity to get live reps, the mindset is shut the mind off and just play. Yeah. So
in practice, you're still, that's the main goal of practice for you, is to try to tap into that flow state. Is it easier to tap into it in a game, because there is a little bit more adrenaline, I guess, pumping? The stakes are a little bit higher, the challenge is a little bit higher? Yeah. Is it easier in a game? I don't necessarily know if it's easier, because if you're practicing it, it shouldn't feel any different. You know what I mean? When you're at practice, regardless if the camera's there or if fans are there, it doesn't matter. Right. What's happening in between the lines is the exact same. So there really shouldn't be a difference from game to practice. And you hear so many people that say, "Coach, I'm a gamer." You know what I mean? I don't practice. I'm a gamer. That's fine in high school.
maybe you may get away with it in college a little bit, but eventually you're gonna have to take practice just as serious as the games.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be anything different for between the two. And I didn't learn that. I didn't grasp that all the way. Like, I always practice hard, but like, I didn't grasp that all the way until I came back from my injury, and I realized that I actually need these practices to get right for the game.
For sure.
Before it was like, I'm just gonna flow. We're at practice, whatever. Make sure I get the plays down, and then when the game comes around, we'll turn up. But after I got hurt, it was like, no, we got to turn up every day at practice.
Right.
So when the game comes, it feels exactly the same. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of like all the distractions that we could possibly get taken out of, like in terms of you could be in a workout doing whatever you're doing, and I hit you on a DM or something, and that pops up. It's like, okay, your attention's shifted already. Like your mind isn't fully shut off of outside tasks,
Right.
and you're not fully in that moment. And that's something I've tried to tap into as I've, still training, but like, man, I'm not fully locked in on that moment if I'm really checking, my fantasy football squad or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is that something that comes to your mind in terms of like training as well, and then going into practice? Because like, obviously in a game, you're not going to be able to just go check your phone real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Understanding that those things are going to pop up. Those things are going to get in your head. Like, your mind isn't perfect. And when you say, like, shut your mind off, you're obviously, like, still thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, yeah, it's just another opportunity to practice.
Yeah.
If you hit me up and say, let's get a podcast session in on Sunday, and it's Saturday, and I'm walking into a workout, it's like, okay, yeah, let's do that on Sunday, but I'll tap back in after this workout, and then I'll literally, when I know I'm doing it good, I'll get done with the workout, and then I'll look at my phone and be like, oh yeah, the Sunday, let's get back to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Meaning I've completely forgot about it because I've been so locked into the present moment to practice, or to the training session or practice or whatever, and then I can get back. So it's all about just being present and actually like fully being locked in on what you're doing at that current time. Yeah.
That's huge, man. And then, so I was thinking about this the other day. I was like awful at catching lobs. I'm not that I'm dunking on a 10-foot, but just in terms of like, even as a little kid, if I'm messing around, like I just didn't have that I guess that trust that I feel like is almost similar to when you're a receiver, because you can't control when the quarterback's throwing it or how he's going to throw it. You're doing your route, and you got to trust that the ball is going to be there in a certain way.
Yeah.
So is that a practice in itself? Like, and did basketball maybe help you with those tip slams? Like, okay, I got to react to where the ball is coming. I'm not in control of all those external, I guess, circumstances that might be coming your way.
That's interesting and this is why, that's interesting. And the reason why it's interesting is because I try to tell kids all the time that doing multiple sports is a good thing.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because when you're talking about going up for a ball, it's the same mechanics as going up for a tip dunk. Some guys can only jump off of 1 foot. Some guys can only jump off of 2 feet. Well, I did track, and I'm used to high jump 1 foot, bending my back backwards and trusting that the mat's going to catch me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm used to triple jumping 3 times off of 1 foot, or going from left, right, or right, left. Like, I'm used to being in the air, controlling my body in the air because of those other sports. So when football comes around, it's like, okay, I see the ball, I go get the ball. I've been doing this, and we're talking about jumping, like this is what I do.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I'm really thinking about.
Right.
But some people feel like they got to go through the corner, they got to avoid the corner, but it's like, if you know how to go up and catch a tip dunk, go up and catch an alley-oop, bend your back over a high jump, then going up in high point of football is easy.
Yeah.
It's nothing different. There's nothing to think about.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, man. And then in terms of training itself, what's an ideal training session that's not over-adrenalized, that's not like doing too much, you're not overtraining, but also finding that right balance of like, you're in game shape.
Yeah.
Like, is that a struggle for you in terms of like, you're already very physically gifted, but like finding the balance of not overdoing training, and then also like, what's the most effective for you in terms of, weightlifting, but also on-field skill work?
Yeah. When my freshman year at UW, I came in and gained 12 pounds. just in the off season, and I was doing the same strength and conditioning program that everybody else was doing. And that season, I just felt really heavy. I felt heavy the whole time. And at UW, we were doing big lifts, squats, bench press, snatches, hand cleans, all that stuff. We were maxing out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out who's the strongest in the room. Like all athletes, and when you compete, like that's just natural. But when you're doing that 2 times a week, 3 times a week, I was building weight so heavily to now I'm like, well, okay, in my off season, I do like I hit the pool 2 times a week. I hit the field 2 times a week, and then I hit the gym 2 times a week. But I don't lift heavy at all. My gym work is more about balance, explosion, single leg stuff, that sort of flow, and taking care of the ankles, the joints, the knees, shoulders, all that stuff. So I've kind of leaned away from lifting heavy, but in return of that, I do more like circuit training. So we got 3 workouts, 3 sets. Let's superset all of them and then get to the next circuit, and I'll be out of there in like an hour and 15 minutes.
Right.
But it's the way I make sure I'm in shape is by shorter rest time in between each rep or each set, and that's pretty much it. Just shorter rest time and not taking like 5 minutes in between to gather ourselves. Like, no, we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
You should be able to get a good workout in 45 minutes and be exhausted at the end of it.
Exactly.
And that should set you up. That's how I've been going. And I've always, at the beginning of every single season, I've always felt like I'm at the best shape I've ever been in.
Nice, man.
Every single season.
And then in terms of we discussed this a little bit before we started filming, but like just that being state after you get done with the workout, like, okay, like I was always I'd train, but I'd still be thinking about the next training session. I could never really just fully relax when I was back at home, and I feel like that would have assisted my recovery, but also how I would play the next day, because I wasn't like so anxious to get on the court again or to lift again or train again. Yeah. So, and then I also saw you post like, this was for what, 2-3 weeks ago, you're talking about a little bit about meditation. And so like, has that been like a field that you've tapped into in terms of to try to sense that being in that stillness when you're off the field? Yeah. I like to meditate at the beginning of every day and at the end of every day, because I feel like, and after the workouts, those are the 3 times I meditate. And I feel like at the beginning of the day when you first wake up, that's when you're most connected to your higher self, especially depending on like how you dream and stuff. Like it gets deep. Oh, we got to get into that. Yeah. It gets deep. It gets deep because I like to take notes on what I dream about. Oh, also. I love that. So I like to meditate on that, reflect on the dream, see what I can learn from it, and then I tell myself health is wealth, and then I get up and go about my day. And then after the workout, I like to meditate, to reflect on the workout session. Yeah. And then it's a stillness thing, but it's also a flush. That's really how I see it. I like to flush out like everything I just did. Wow. So I'll try to I'll soak it in. Okay, this is what I did. Those reps felt good. I was tired here. At the end though, I recovered really fast. Okay, now on the exhales, get it out of your system. I love that, bro. And honestly, I found that my recovery is faster doing 100%. That. Yeah, it's kind of weird. No, dude, I feel like that's awesome. Man. Yeah, that's awesome, and that's a good training for the game. Like, all right, now it's game time. I already put in all the work. Now it's just like a celebration. Exactly. I'm letting go. Exactly. Damn, I love that. And it's a really hard thing to grasp too. Like, it is being able to just let go in general. 100%. But the more you practice it, the more like it's just like meditation. Like when I first started meditating, bro, I was getting off track every 2 seconds. Yeah. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about what I'm supposed to be thinking about. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing all that. And now it's so easy. It'll take me literally like maybe 15, 20 seconds to just really create that stillness and get lost in time. That's huge.
But at the beginning, it was tough.
Yeah.
So when you talk about letting go, you just have to continuously practice. Like anytime you're doing something that you get something out of, let it go. Practice letting it go after. Like me coming to this podcast, I'm getting something out of it because I want to get comfortable with mics in front of me, with cameras in front of me, that sort of thing. Off the field, obviously, I'm comfortable on that aspect. But in here, I want to get comfortable doing it. So I come in, I do the podcast, and then after it, I'm going to meditate on the session, and then I'm going to let it go.
That's
and then
awesome,
let it
man.
come back the next time we got a podcast going.
Dude, wow.
Yeah.
I love that, dude, in so many different ways. And one thing is, like, meditation for me, I studied it very intensively the last 2 years and was doing it at least maybe too much sometimes because I was on an online master's course, so I was
you were
tapping
serious.
in.
Yeah, you're tapped in
almost
for real.
too much, bro.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I was like trying to do it as like another sports goal. Like, all right, I'm about to meditate right now. I'm going in.
Yeah.
But the way that you seem to be describing it, it is that let go, that flush that I couldn't conceptualize. Like I always thought it was another thing that I had to do and not be in. And that's why I think nature has been a huge tap in for me because I'll walk out there, I'll be like, I have no outcome, no achievement that I have in mind right now.
Yeah.
Like just let nature take you in.
Yeah.
And then that's when those like spoken words come out of me.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not even doing them.
They're not your words.
Exactly. And that's why I love it because it's like, it's not me doing it anymore.
Yeah.
It's me finally letting go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And bro, when I let go, it's like, feel way better, way more productive, a way better athlete. Like it's 100 times different than being super tight and like trying to control things.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to tap in. Oh, also, when you talk about flushing it, that's something I did a little yoga like last week. And that was the teacher. It was like, flush.
You were the teacher?
No.
Oh, okay.
The teacher was like, flush the session out. And that was the first time I ever heard that. I was like, that makes a lot of sense because then the ego's not really like, oh, I just worked out, I need to get this success from it. It's just like, no, you did the workout.
Yeah.
It'll yield if you let go.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's super
It'll
tough
truly
to
manifest if you let go. And that's so tough. But I really like how you said when you let go of the concept of having to do.
Yeah.
Because we feel like we're in so much control. Like I feel like I'm in control because in the league you hear people talk about control what you can control.
Yeah.
That's literally what people say all the time because your destiny is you can control on the field, but there's higher ups, there's people that control
100%.
whether they want you on the team or not.
Yeah.
But like anything that we can control, we feel like we have to control to the max. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
bro.
now it's like when you say you don't have to do anything, like life is so easy if you let it be easy. But like so many people are like, well, I know with my mind I can do anything.
Yeah.
So that means that like if I put my mind to it, I can do anything, which means I have to do something.
Yes.
But in reality, you don't have to do anything. You just have to, yes, your mind allows you to, it guides you to places that you need to be. Now just let your body just drink the water. You know what I mean? Like I can't, you know how they say I can't guide you to the lake or I can guide you to the lake, can't force you to drink the water.
Yeah.
The mind will guide you to the lake. Now you just have to let your body drink the water. I don't know. I just made that up. Did that make sense?
I love that.
I
love that. Keep that for the next spoken word.
Yeah,
bro,
yeah,
that is deep. And I was actually tapping into this guy on YouTube. I was just exhausted. It was like 2 years ago. I'm looking up all these different things. I'm like, dude, I don't understand this meditation that well. I know it's a beneficial thing, but I'm not feeling the benefits. Even though I'm very diligent, I'm doing the practice. And the guy that was on the video, I forget his name, but he was talking about like when you're in like a winter season, like the seasons will change. And this is why it's been dope being back in Washington because I'm seeing the fall, the leaves are falling. Yep. I'm like, bro, I got to trust that change is here. Mm-hmm. I got to let go of me trying to force the change. Mm-hmm. But also in that video, he's like, dude, you got to find something that you're just being in. Yeah. Like get a hammock, lay down in a hammock. I could not fathom that you could just not do. Yeah. In a certain way. It was like, I was relaxing, but not relaxed at all. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's so difficult to tap into for whatever reason. But now that I've tapped into it, it's like, why would I ever not want to tap into this? Yeah. Like, why would I set my day up with like my phone and doing all this stuff when I know, like, bro, if I tap into that piece, then I'm at a 10 times higher level than I was before.
And that's the trust factor. I mean, the trees, the tree lets go of the leaf, trusting that it's gonna grow another leaf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in the fall time, it's like trees are like, let go of everything that we just did for the last 3 seasons.
I love it.
You know what I mean? And then it trusts that it will come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It trusts that there's a natural progression, there's a natural order to how you're supposed to live your life. And part of that is letting go and letting things rebuild. Like, when you work out, your muscles break down and then they rebuild. Like, it's a matter of it's the same thing in
like
the game.
Physics, bro.
In the game, you let go, and then all of a sudden, at the end of the game, you just did 10 catches for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. And you're like, damn, what did you do? I did nothing. I did nothing. I did work Monday through Friday, so then Saturday came, and I just did nothing. Like you said, it's a celebration.
I love that, bro. Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's a deep one, bro.
Yeah.
People, it might be have to wrap around people's heads a little bit before they
play the podcast again. Get that one twice. Yeah, play it twice so you can really comprehend.
No, yeah, man. I totally agree with all that in many ways, and it's such a important topic that I love bringing on athletes like you to discuss, because yes, you've attained very high levels as an athlete. And I think that's why it's been so hard for me to let go and to trust that, is because I'm like, no, hard work, that got me to where I was. So, like, I don't want to let go of that. Mm-hmm. But in reality, it's like, yeah, you might need a level of that hard work in the beginning to get to where you are. But then it's like the next step, I think the next tier for all these top level athletes is they know how to let go. Mm-hmm. They know how to tap into that second like push almost to get to get to where they want, and then to keep longevity in what they're doing.
Yeah. Now, trust, Monday through Friday, the professional athletes, we're working our asses off.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
for sure.
There's everything's supposed to happen. Like, yes, you're supposed to work hard. You're definitely supposed to work hard. Like, don't get it twisted. But you have to understand, like you said, when to let it go, when to ramp up. When to just shut your mind off, or when to be on high alert. Like, you have to be able to learn how to do all those things. And the first thing that you learn is the working hard part.
100%.
That's why it's so hard for people to let go, because that's the first thing that they're hearing is working hard. So then when you've molded a mind to think work hard, and then all of a sudden they're a senior in high school and they've been hyping up, my senior year, I need to go hard. I need to have the best year I've ever had. So you work out the hardest you ever have in the off season. Now you can't shut it off when it comes to the game. You know what I mean?
Shit,
my senior year, I was last event I ever would compete in high school. I'm doing long jump. I had won the high jump already, run the triple jump. One of my main goals before I was done with high school was to win all 3 jumps at state. It was long jump. And I was literally, like, for some reason, my trail leg wasn't coming through, and I'm averaging 23, like 6', 23'7". But at the state meet, I was going like 22.5, like 21 flat. Like, it was like bad. Like 3 feet off of your PR is really, really bad.
Yeah.
I made it to the final round, and literally the dude in front of me, he goes 24.2, which is my personal best. But on this day, I had been going like 22, so it was ugly. And I just, like, at that moment, because I was hyping up, this has got to be the best event I've ever done. This has got to be the best meet. This has got to be the best year. I got to end my high school career on a high note. I was so amped up to jump out of the sand pit that I just hyped myself up too much. So that last jump that I did, I literally went to the middle of the field and I just laid there. I literally just laid on the ground. This is like higher self, like, guiding me right now. I didn't, like, everybody was like, I was talking to my coach and he was like, go warm up a little bit for your last jump so you can feel at your best. I was like, all right. I walked over to the end zone, just laid on the ground, and 10 people went in front of me, and for like 5 minutes I was just laying there, and then it was my turn. I got up and I was just in my mind, and I got to the runway, and I was just like, how do we want to end this? And then I just took off, and I ended up jumping at 24.5, which was a personal best for me by 3 inches, and I won the meet in the long jump, and I ended up winning with all 3 jumps, high, triple, and long. And I say that to say, at that point was the first time that I consciously shut my brain off. I was able to do it before in other events and other sports just naturally, just because, like, I don't know, I just had it in me. But when I started hyping things up and building things up in my head, it was overwhelming for my body.
Yeah.
And then I shut my mind off and had a personal best. So, like,
that's an awesome story,
I just say that to say, learn when to do things.
Bro, you're gonna start a new like challenge, like pregame, just laying.
Just
Everyone's
laying
gonna
there,
be doing it.
and then everybody's gonna be like, "Coach, we didn't warm up. We just laid on the ground the whole time." Because that's what Kasen does. So
yeah. You just ruined like all of high school coaches' like warm ups.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting one that I was thinking. Like when I get in my head too much, that's why I go to nature's, because I'll just like. It sounds weird, but I'll just like stare at a tree or just stare at the sky and just be like, all right, man, I'm totally letting go. Because I've been studying this guy named Guru or something. Interesting dude, Indian dude who like just speaks on just a bunch of different stuff on consciousness. But he was just like, man, you could be gone the next day. Nature's going to take care of itself. Like you can't control that much. You can't be that serious.
Yeah.
So that's why I've really tried to tap into nature, because I think it's like a natural flow, because you really get to see like, man, I'm not in control of all this.
Yeah.
So in terms of like when you first consciously shut off your mind, again, it's not you doing it, right? But what was it? Was it the circumstance? Was it like the meat?
It was the circumstance. It was the circumstance because this is my senior year. I had won state champions in football 3 years in a row. I had all the accolades there. For track, I had won state in the high and long and triple individually in years prior. But I every year, like sophomore year, junior year, senior, or sophomore and junior year is like win triple jump, second and third in the high and long, or first in the triple jump, first in the high jump, second in the long. It was stuff like that, and I was like, damn, man, I want to win all three. You know what I mean? And that year in the high jump, the entire stadium was doing the slow clap. In the triple jump, I broke the state record. So I have the state triple jump record. Like I say that to say there was so much around me, and there's so much meaning in ending it the right way, because I'd already got the record. I had already won the high jump. The whole stadium was looking at me and doing the slow clap. Like I knew that this was the last thing that I would do that would put my stamp on my high school career. And in my mind, after I took that fifth jump, because you have six, after I took that fifth jump, I was like, okay, this is too much for me. I need to go sit down. My head hurts. Like, my head hurt. I need to go sit down and just, like, let all this stuff flush out and just get back into just me and my dad at Skyline when nobody is there, and we're just back and we're there working on our technique by ourselves. Like that's what I tapped back into, because the whole thing was overwhelming. Now luckily I was able to make the decision to go on the field and just sit there and relax, but all the while before that I was like, come on, man. That was a 22. I haven't jumped 22 since I was like ninth grade. My next jump, that was 22-1, like 23 even. I haven't jumped 23 since 2 years ago. Like I don't do that, and it was just too much. So I just had to shut. It was the only thing I could do. Was just shut everything off. Right. It was literally the only thing that I could do that I hadn't tried yet, and the results show that was what I should have done the entire time. Yeah.
No, for sure, man. And then you talked a little bit about just the ability to re-tap into your, I would call it the origin story almost. Like you're with your pops and you're doing those things. And the reason why I bring that up is because when I was getting in my head too much, I'd try to re-tap into when I was like a little kid shooting out in the rain.
Pure love.
And like, pure love. And so the reason why I bring that up is like, maybe if you could describe that origin story a little bit more, but also like as you've risen in professional ranks, and obviously there's a lot more external pressures, like just naturally, like, is that something that re-grounds you, and have you lost the love of the game just a little bit?
No, I've realized how much I love the game.
Really?
More than anything. And I'm just speaking for where I am presently or currently. I've been away for a year now. longest I've ever been away from the game.
Yeah.
And I don't like it at all. I hate it. And because I hate it, I realized that I love this game a lot. You know what I mean? And when you're away from it for a year, you have time to be like, damn. I remember me and my cousin used to be in the backyard playing tackle football. And sometimes when it was raining outside, we would just be in the house and play knee tackle football. You know what I mean?
Wait,
like,
what's that?
It's just when you're playing football on your knees, like literally, just so you can't
sick.
so you don't run. Like when you have a small space, you just get on your knees and just.
You're still hurdling them, huh?
Nah,
you're like,
got springs in the knees. We wouldn't. I wouldn't be hurdling, but that's what I would revert back to.
That's cool, man.
Or the times when, because my uncle played or coached for the Cincinnati Bengals for a little bit. First time I ever stepped on the NFL field, I was like in the first grade, and me and my cousin again playing tackle football in the Bengals stadium, and I just go back to that, like how much fun was I having there?
Yeah,
my cousin's 3 years older than me, and we would play tackle, and he's burying my ass in the ground. And I'll just think, like, I'm not even thinking of getting hurt or damn that hurt or there was pain. I'm just thinking like that was so much fun.
That's awesome.
That was so much fun.
Yeah.
And then I tap into this is like kind of getting into like pregame rituals, but I'll tap into like my best games. Not necessarily what happened in those games, but I just want to see, like, I got a lot of film on my phone. So I'll just watch me make just great plays.
Yeah.
And then I'll think of myself having so much fun.
Yeah.
And then guess what I do before I step on the field? I let it all go.
I love it.
And then just
I love that, man.
We go from there.
Do you tap into visualization at all?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Could you go into that for me?
Visualization is tough for me because it's not tough, but it's just like everything else. You actually have to have practice with it.
Yeah.
You have to, like, if you want to visualize and you want to get really good at it, you have to put your hours in. I started visualizing after I got hurt in 2013, and I was seeing a lot of drops. What
do you mean?
I would run a slant and I would drop the ball.
In your mind?
In my mind.
Really?
Yes. And then I'm like, okay, I get it because, you know, we're practicing. Now, granted, if I visualize 10 catches, I would see 4 to 5 drops. It's too many. And then as I continue to progress, now I've been visualizing for 6 years now, but I would say once I actually started seeing like perfection, like visualizing 10 catches and maybe only having 1 to 0 drops in those visualizations, that took me about a solid 8 or 9 months, maybe a year of consistently visualizing. It just took practice for me. And I don't know if my story is like other people's stories, but yeah, I saw more drops than I wanted to. And for a lot of people, that would like fluster them and be like, okay, I don't think visualizing for me, because guess what happens? You go to practice and then you drop a ball.
Yeah.
But for me, that just made it be real. I'm just like, oh, okay, visualization is real. Let me really tap in. The more I started seeing catches, the more I would just go out in the field and start making some crazy snags. Like,
really?
Yeah. But it took practice, and it took me like actually thinking in my head, okay, what do I want to see? That's what really changed things around for me. And it may sound small, but like self-talk is like extremely important. So I'll drop a pass and I'll be like, damn, okay, I laughed that off. Like that's what Dr. Bob said. Like, you have an injury or you see something that you don't want to see in your mind, just laugh it off.
Yeah.
And I'll laugh it off, and then I'll be like, what do I want to see? And then I'll be like, oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Yeah. And then I just get consistent with that, and it would end up appearing on Sundays. And one of the best examples I can say of that was 2 years ago when I had that really good preseason with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
There was the one catch I had on Xavier Rhodes, which was a back shoulder one-handed catch. I saw that in my mind literally 100 times.
Really?
Literally 100 times. And I knew it was so crazy when the play got called. I knew it was going to happen. I was like, okay, this is it, and I'll just be in it. And then I ran my route. The ball was exactly where I saw it in my visions. But in my mind, it was a one-handed back shoulder, 2 feet barely in bounds, like, and I held it out the whole time, like it was more dramatic. But either way, what came to be reality is something that started with the vision, and it's so powerful. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's visualization is powerful, and because it's powerful, you have to know what you're doing with that power.
Yeah.
You have to know how to handle that power. And at first I didn't know what I was getting into. That's why I was seeing drops, because I wasn't really able to control the mind, but also letting go of the mind at the same time. I should say letting go, not even control. Being able to let go of it. And then all of a sudden it just started working for me. The more consistent I would start seeing 15 catches, and then I would stop. Because that was the other thing. When I first started visualizing, I'd want to get in my meditation and visualize for like an hour. And it's like, do I need to visualize 1,000 catches in 1 hour? Like, if you're doing that, you're going to see some drops because you're ODing. You're doing too much. Once again, like trying to visualize so much.
You just said it. You're doing too much.
Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, all I need to do is see 10 catches and I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop. Like, and that takes 30 seconds. And then the rest of the meditation, I'll be focused on just like breathing and letting things go. But I had to learn that I don't need to visualize every single day for a whole hour straight. And that's the stuff that I was on, just like you when you started meditating, like trying to do too much again. But now it's like, okay, I can literally like visualize playing catch. It doesn't even have to be like a game scenario.
For sure.
It can just be playing catch. And that translates into you seeing the ball in the air and connecting with your hands. That's really all you need to do. You know what I mean? Like, if you're visualizing making shots, you just need to visualize the ball in the air going through the hoop. It doesn't have to be like crossover, spin, step back.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all that. That stuff will happen naturally. Just see the ball itself, not even leaving your hands. It's just already in the air, and it just goes in the hoop over and over and over again.
Yeah. Dude, that is sick. It seems like, to me, like that can get tossed around, like visualization and all that stuff can get tossed around but not be actually true. And that's something I do talk about a lot about, in terms of like, you got to be true to yourself and not bullshit yourself when you're doing those things. For me, like when I hear you saying like, yeah, I had some drops in there, it's like, okay, yeah, he's actually trying to tap in and not lie to himself. You know, he's not trying to dilute his mind. He's actually trying to tap into what's there. Like, okay, do I have like a fear of dropping something right now? Or like, am I not as confident as I need to be? Like, it's crazy you bring that up. It reminds me of like when I was back in high school, how I used to fall asleep was visualizing. But I couldn't visualize basketball for whatever reason. Like every time I'd visualize basketball, it'd be like uncomfortable. My shot wouldn't feel right. I'd be too controlling. So I couldn't do basketball to fall asleep. And so for me, it's like, damn, it's similar to what you were experiencing, but it seems like you tapped past it. So I wonder if I tapped into it now, like how I could go around it. But I used to visualize football for whatever reason. Yeah, like I would.
Because you didn't play football, right?
Played seventh grade, but I didn't really like it. I liked the games, but I didn't like the practices. I didn't like getting hit. I like shooting threes. But
you didn't like doing the Oklahoma drill.
No, definitely not. I was like, no, I'm injured. I can't do it.
Coach, my head hurt.
Yeah, exactly. No, but like football for me, it was something about like the Friday night lights, I guess, from high school that I was like, that's pretty cool in terms of like me being a receiver or a quarterback. And so like, that gave me a sense of peace.
That's interesting.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, for whatever reason, that came to my mind. But going along with that, like falling asleep, you talked a little bit about your dreams.
Yeah.
That I've had something similar to that catch you had in terms of you saw it. I had like 3 or 4 games in college where I would see the game happen, like the exact minute, half player that was guarding me, the shots that I would make. And in the game, I would catch the ball just like you said, like it's coming right now.
Yeah.
I'd be like, bro, this is it.
Yeah.
Like holy shit. And if I kept thinking, it wouldn't happen. But I'd catch the ball. I'd be like, I would say it out loud. This is from my dream. And the ball would go, and it would just go in. I'd be like, bro, that's insane.
So it got me.
That's what I'm saying. So I started thinking like to myself, there's something outside of the realm of my human control. And it's like, how do I tap into that more?
Yeah.
You know, and so talk about your dreams and why you think it's important to write them down.
I didn't start tapping into dreams until I got older. And I just started to take note of my dreams, and I saw that they always there was always something to be learned, and they always came true eventually. So once I noticed that, I'm like, okay, well, let me start writing these things down
100%.
and seeing what comes of it. And I in my dreams, I have no control.
Right.
I can literally control my body, and I can control my movement. Because, some dreams you're just watching, other dreams you're in, and you can make decisions and stuff. My dreams I'm in, and I can control my movements and stuff, but everything is happening around me that I can't control. So it's really weird. But at the end of the day, I'll wake up and I'll be like, okay, in that dream, I was playing ball and I caught 2 tuds, but I left my shorts in the locker room. That dream, I caught the ball and I took a screen to the house for 60 yards, but it took me like 20 seconds, like 30 seconds to run 60 yards. Like, why am I running so slow? But I'm also seeing the success at the same time. So it's like, it's
maybe less is more.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I look at that stuff and I write it down, and I'm like, okay, this is what I got from it, and then you just kind of go from there. But I'm just always someone that's always trying to get hints of what I need to be doing. I'm always asking for guidance. Yeah. So if I ask for guidance all the time, I do this. That's another thing I do at the end of my meditation. Health is wealth, and I also ask to just be guided in the right direction.
I love that.
So if I'm gonna ask for that, it's gonna appear, but you don't know when it's going to appear, how it's going to appear. It can be in dreams. It can be in people you meet. It can be a conversation that happened at Flow Station. It can be wherever. But it's just important to take note. So when it came to the dreams, it was like, well, dreams is the highest connection the best connection you can get to higher self. So if I'm asking for guidance, I'm asking for guidance from my higher self. Yeah. So he's going to talk to me in my dream. Yeah. So I have to take note of it.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Like the signs that we get, we're like, that couldn't have been the sign.
You don't want to believe them.
Right. And so I started reading. I know people would say not to do this, but nonfiction before bed, more psychology, trying to tap into certain things that really make me question certain. And every night now, I'm getting a dream that has like some metaphor for my life that I'm like, oh shit, that was it. Yeah, and been trying to write them down. That was my ritual at college. I'd wake up, my roommate and I we'd be like, bro, what'd you dream about? And just try to tap in, decipher it, and not try to overthink it, but like, bro, there is definite power in those things. We just got to trust that as well. Like, okay, what are you learning from that? Yeah. Like one that comes to mind is like, I was watching the Wolverine movie or something, and then I'm like in a bird's eye view of a college classroom, and there's a bunch of these little Wolverine dudes running around, and they're going up to groups of kids, and they're telling them everything they need to know, what they should be, what they're afraid of, and if they run from it, they get killed. I know this is getting a little crazy.
I like that.
But if they stayed and they learned from it, they wouldn't be harmed. And then another one that comes to mind, I know I'm going on a tangent, but this one was crazy to me, is kind of going on to like running your own race. Like I'd always been someone that was like, I was so in the do. Like I loved the process, but sometimes I would get taken out by like, okay, who they recruiting? Yeah. Who they bringing in? Yep. And so I had this dream. I'm like sprinting on this big bridge, and I'm going, and I can sense this guy's behind me. I'm like, oh shit, he's not passing me. And I'm going, but in my mind and my body, I'm like, I'm about to pass out. Yeah. So I'm going, I'm huffing, puffing, and finally I just collapse. I can't go anymore. And the guy looks down, tries to help me up. He's got like those, if you're running like a marathon, you got the number. Yeah. He's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you're not even in this race. Like, why are you running against me?
Interesting.
And so I'm looking down at mine. I'm like, bro, I was just like a casual guy walking on the street, and I felt like he was coming for me in some way. Yeah. So I'll have these like deep dreams that I'll be like, man, like, do I do that? And I try to really question myself and like, do I tap into this? Yeah. Versus like, do I just talk about it on Flow Station? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that's also another difference. Like, if you say something, you better do it because you know now. Yeah. And then like the universe or whatever, God, like, if you don't follow through with that, like
Yeah.
that's going to come back to bite you.
Yeah.
So I don't
you
know.
put it in the atmosphere already.
100%.
You put it in the atmosphere. Yeah, that's interesting because there's a couple things you can take from that. First off, the first dream is like, okay, you're seeing everything from a bird's eye view for a reason.
Yeah.
Like you're not one of the people that the Wolverines is coming to and,
Yeah.
and giving the ultimatum.
Yeah.
So it's like you are seeing this and you're like, okay, now that you know what is going on beneath you, when you are presented with this, how are you going to react? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I think of things like that, or like the fact that, yes, you were running in a race that you weren't supposed to be in, but you ran until you collapsed, which means that, like, in my mind, it's like you're giving it whatever you step into, you're going to give it your 100%. Regardless if that's where you're supposed to be or not, you're going to give it everything that you can. And then someone may help you and guide you to another race, but just knowing that your grind is where it's supposed to be, you know what I mean?
You're cooking.
Puts you up in the right, puts you in the right space.
I love that.
That's kind of how I interpret it, because I've had dreams where this is really weird. Okay, so
tap in, bro.
when I was a kid, I had this dream. I'd have this dream all the time. It would be of my dad's best friend.
Okay.
He's walking down the street. Newspapers are. It's a deserted street. Deserted street. Newspapers are flying everywhere, and he's walking down the street, balancing, spinning the basketballs on both hands, and just walking towards me like. And one time he was in a Harlem Globetrotter outfit.
Oh, God.
And the other time, he's just always in some sort of sports gear. So I used to have that dream at least probably twice a year for like 10 years in a row.
Really?
And then coming to find out his story, he went to UW, played receiver, a little bit of quarterback, was in the league, got out of the league, and then the USFL started up, and then he went to the USFL, ended up setting records in the USFL, and then got back into the league and played for another 3 years. So as a kid, I'm 10. I'm sitting here like, why do I keep having this dream?
Yeah.
And in my mind, it wasn't a nightmare, but it was one of those dreams where I was just like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm a little nervous. I don't know what's happening. But it wasn't fear. And then when I noticed his story, and then it didn't hit me until like literally a couple months ago.
Wow.
Because I've been out of the league for a year, and it just hit me, and I was like, damn, I used to have that dream all the time. I wonder what the comparison is. Oh, I'm destined for greatness. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, he took literally the same path that I took.
Wow.
Why was I getting those back when I was 10 years old? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it was like manifesting.
Oh, that's how I feel. And he
Damn.
was balancing basketballs. I don't know what that had to do with anything, but it was always
slams.
it was always right. It was always sports related. And it was the same thing. Him just walking down the street, walking towards me, and I'm like, damn, this is weird, man. And then I had another dream where this happened a couple months ago, where I was fighting my cousin, one of my best cousins, who I was telling you I'd play knee tackle football with. Yeah. We would wrestle each other all the time. Like, he was a better athlete than I was, hands down.
Really?
Yeah, but his circumstance had led him down a different path that majority of my family goes down. And that's a path that I don't want to take. So I would have a dream. I had a dream that me and him were fighting, and I had told my girl about the dream, and she was like, "Yeah, you don't want to be like him." I was like, "Whoa,
damn,
that's heavy!" Like, cause we were fist fighting. This is my best homie, like cousin, best friend, family growing up, and then she was like, "Yeah, you don't want to be like him," and I was like, "That's exactly what that meant." But it's
wow.
Dreams definitely, and that dream specifically was a motivator.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, this is the path that you could be on. Kind of the same thing with your bird's eye view. Some people are running from fears and some people aren't. Like, I was like, from that dream that I had, I was like, I could go down that path and be him. But I'm fighting him in my dream because my reality is I don't have any football that's going on. That journey is at a standstill, and we can go one or two ways. So I'm going to fight the person who is down the path that I don't want to be on.
100%.
And that's what you can pick up from dreams, though. Like, you can get insight, you can get direction, you can get motivation, you can get answers. Like, that's why it's so important to just write them down. And when I write them down, I'm not necessarily looking for the answer. The answer will come up whenever it comes up. We can have a conversation. I can have a conversation with somebody and it just pop into my head.
Yeah.
But I'm going to write it down, so subconsciously it's still in the back of my mind. Now I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to go about my day, and I guarantee you, I don't know, that day, that week, maybe a month or whatever, I'll have a conversation that's going to reconnect that dream.
Yeah.
So
that's huge,
it's
man.
important to write it down because you can
agree.
find answers. But don't go looking for the answers. The answers will find you. Everything always finds you. You just have to trust that.
Yeah. I love that, man. Thank you guys for tuning into the Flow Station podcast. If you enjoyed it, please rate it, share with your friends, and follow us on Instagram at Flow Station Podcast or Twitter at The Flow Station. More content on the way, more guests, and more flowing to do. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.